Welcome to The Table, a podcast from Fellowship West. Here at The Table, we believe that faith grows best in community, and that some of the most meaningful conversations happen not just in pews or pulpits, but around tables. This is where we pause, reflect, and dive deeper into the truths that shape us. Each episode will share stories, reflections, and have honest conversations about life, faith, and what it means to follow Jesus together. Whether you're a part of our West family, just exploring faith, or somewhere in between, you have a seat here. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's have a conversation. Well, after a couple months away, The Table is officially back. A lot has changed since our last episode. Honestly,
we have a table.
We have a table for
an
the first
actual
time.
table.
Let's go.
In a studio.
In a studio.
Yeah.
You probably don't know this because you've never been able to see us before, but we have previously just recorded in random places, most often the nursing mother's room in our old
It had the
campus.
most comfy chairs.
It did. It did. And now for the first time, The Table has a true table.
Yeah.
Honestly, the last couple months have been pretty unbelievable, and so I'm excited to be back here, back at recording the podcast and jumping in with you guys today. I've got with me Ben and Matt Clow, our lead pastor, and then behind the cameras is Matt Knight. We're excited to dig into this and share a little bit about what has been going on. So. Man, guys, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about these last couple months?
Yeah, man, there's a lot that comes to mind. I think everything changed, right? So we're adapting to new possibilities, right? New freedoms, also new constrictions, differences in, how just the logistics of this building and 3 campuses coming together works. There's been a lot of merging teams together, merging classrooms.
Right.
There's so much that's seen and noticed and not behind the scenes. There's so much public that has changed, from signage to decorations to paneling on walls to services and people and all this. But there's, it's like an iceberg. There's 10 times more behind the scenes that has gone on with staff, with volunteers, with, changes to buildings and stuff. It's been a lot of change, a lot of adjustment.
Yeah.
I think, I think back to April 27th of last year was the first time I've walked in this facility and had conversations. And I think, as a staff and leadership team, there were so many prayers and conversations and moments we had behind the scenes before we even got to the point of things merging and coming together. So I think now just seeing the fruit of all of those efforts and all those prayers and our times of fasting and all of these things, for me, it's just really cool to look back and think, man, I remember that first time walking here, having conversations, praying with you guys, fasting together, and then to see the fruit of all that now with all that behind the scenes work that's still going on is pretty cool to see and think about.
And it's cool thinking back to that first time that you came in here, because a picture was taken of you standing on the stage.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of cool that we had no idea what was coming.
Yeah.
That eventually God would open up the doors to allow this merger to happen and us to bring both of our campuses and combine with the remnant left here and just to see all that God has done over the last couple months.
It's been incredible.
I will say this. I walk during the workday more than I ever have.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
My steps have dramatically increased.
Mm-hmm.
And how frustrating it is if you get to the other side of the building, you don't have your keys and the door's locked.
The worst.
So just for reference, 7 laps around the interior loop of the building is a mile. And so it's
only 7.
It feels like more. It's like Jericho. Yeah, it's 7 laps is a mile. And
I've legitimately thought about getting one of those hoverboard things. And using that to make my quick trips around.
I feel more fit, But with Casey's being next door and their access to their pizza, the extra walking has been kind of good. Yeah,
that's true. You need it. You need it.
Matt, what stands out to you?
Oh, me? Oh, man. Producer extraordinaire here.
You're part of the conversation.
What stands out to me? I think we've only been here, what, 2 months now? 2 full months?
Yeah.
And I think it's crazy how much has happened in that short of time.
Yeah.
And how much God has done. And I think it's been really cool to see the amount of baptisms we've had and the joining of 2 families, and just seeing all the new relationships forming over the past few weeks have been really cool.
Yeah, it's been really special. And I mean, let's just break it down a little bit. Talk about kind of what all has gone on. Obviously, with the merger, we had the physical, practical side of moving to full churches, and combining with what was here,
from multiple locations.
Let's talk about that process a little bit. The moving and the settling in, the establishment. What were some things? Were there any things that stood out to you guys during those few weeks of moving and settling in, and any stories that stand out from that?
Our people are absolute champs.
Yeah.
It took, my kids kind of were joking about in the process. It's like we were playing Monopoly and just kept having all these different pieces. We're kind of moving together, and but to see how many people stepped in from all sides to help move and get things ready. We made the transition probably way quicker than we normally would have liked to have done, just because Easter was on the horizon.
Yeah.
And our people got behind it. Kurt Huffstedler, who handles our kind of buildings and grounds, and from the administrative side, is a champ, organizing all that. Man, he's made it seamless for us. And but it's incredible to think all that had to go into it, and yet it worked because our people made it happen.
Yeah, I mean, from people like David Renfro, who came in almost every day for 2 or 3 straight weeks.
Yeah. I would have thought he worked here.
Right. Yeah. To like doing this construction project and this thing that really I wouldn't have trusted a lot of people with.
Yeah. That check-in station looks awesome.
Oh yeah. David Renfro made the Check the Kids self-check-in. If you've seen that, it's got lights under it. It's got a beautiful stain finish on it.
Put a picture of it up.
Yeah, we could. To Lynn Pierce, who works in our baby, who volunteers in the baby room, who just took ownership of that room and, wanted to make it the best it could be with 3 campuses worth of stuff to sort through and figure out, well, what does this need to look like? We've had people from all campuses come through and paint and help organize, and man, people just took ownership.
As we're recording, there's people in the building below us now, changing out light fixtures.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think of Donna Rahia, really took ownership in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Sorting out all of the 3 kitchens worth of supplies, and sorting through those, organizing them, and getting things ready so that we can effectively do events.
Yeah.
But and I agree. Our people have been incredible. It's been really cool to watch the church really be the church and step up where needs were had, and meet those needs. And do you guys feel like things have finally settled down a little bit, are starting to settle down, finding a sense of normalcy in all of the newness?
It's definitely less running from project to project.
Yeah.
So I can only speak for me. I know there's still a good bit of adjusting to do. It's a new way of doing things all around, especially like the logistic media tech worship side of it, in addition to and Matt and I can speak to this too, Matt, like needs for kids ministry with media, and we have, 4,000, 5,000 TVs in the building.
So many.
It's a lot. It feels like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And, internet stuff that has to happen all over the place. It's a big place. We had these things before, but they were kind of more spread out, and a lot of them were very solidified in the way we did things.
Yeah.
But then you take that and you're like, well, I'm only looking at the staff side. You look at that from the member side. And this is a brand new world for all of you listening as well.
Sure.
Those who are coming over from the Bonner or Legends Fellowship West campuses, and those who are staying from Open Door, like everything is kind of turned around and could be topsy-turvy for you. And the attitude with which people have handled that, by and large, has been Christian.
Yeah.
Which is really
what you would want from believers.
Yeah. I think there were a lot of opportunities for people to get kind of cross and upset because there's change for everybody, and it looks different really for everybody, which I think was part of the benefit. I think it's like there wasn't anybody who didn't have to change,
right?
And I think our people have been champs. It does seem like we're kind of finding a new normalcy. I wouldn't say slowed down. I would say less chaotic.
Sure.
I think finding a rhythm. I think driving to this location now feels normal.
Yeah.
Walking into my office I'm in now feels normal. And so there's certain things that feel a little more normal, but even as we're sitting here recording, there's still a lot to be done. And I think our list is always growing, but it seems less chaotic and seems like there's less things that require immediate emergency attention.
Yeah.
But still kind of a long list.
Yeah, we found a good balance of like eliminating some of the things that were those urgent, but slightly unimportant things.
Yeah. Speaking of, you mentioned driving here, Tyler. How many times do you think you rode with me during the moving process where I drove from Bonner to Legends accidentally instead of here?
Pretty much almost every time. And I've done it.
You'd say there goes I-70.
Yeah, I've done it a lot. My commute has dramatically increased.
That's true. You were 2 minutes from the church.
Yeah, now I'm about 15. And the
Thank you for your sacrifice.
The first few times I definitely I was like, well, I guess I'm driving the long way today. But totally worth it. It's been incredible. So we've been talking a lot about kind of the practical things that we have been doing. But before we talk about anything else, I want us to just stop and acknowledge what God has been doing in this season. Because we've hinted at it a little bit, but it's been unbelievable, really. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about some of the highlights of what we've seen as far as God's movement, the spiritual side of things over the last couple months.
I think Matt kind of referenced it earlier, but we've had, I think 22 baptisms since moving into this space, which is, just an incredible God thing. And I think one of the things I love about that are the stories attached, not just a number, there's incredible stories, one who was invited by somebody who had been invited. They're like a kind of a third level invite. This past Sunday, baptizing a father, and as he's praying for salvation 2 weeks ago, in front of his wife and kids, also praying and calling out to God for his family's salvation, and seeing that father step up. I love the fact that we've literally had all the generations saved and baptized since being here, from some senior adults all the way down to our kids ministry. And it's kind of seeing that holistic thing has been really cool to watch God do.
Yeah. And the ones who have been saved for a while, but they haven't been baptized and they're following in obedience.
Yeah.
And
love it.
Just when you get around the testimony of believers who are following obedience, I think we're getting to this, but it's the community aspect of Christianity is so important because we spur each other on to what we should be doing.
Yeah, that's right. And it becomes contagious.
Yeah.
It is nice. It is nice when we baptize somebody that we're now baptizing them in front of our whole church family.
Yeah.
That's a new thing.
In between the different locations, I don't know, that's been my favorite part, is when you're standing up there with somebody and looking out and everybody gets to see it. It feels like it's a true proclamation to the church that you are a follower of Jesus. I love that part.
That's good.
Yeah. And other big things that have happened over the last couple of months. We had our first Easter in this building. For the first time, we had over 1,000 people here on Easter.
It's wild.
Which was, it's not about the numbers, but just that many people that were interested in being a part of what God is doing and hungry to come and to experience God's grace and worship Him. What went through you guys' minds looking around that morning, walking through the building with all those people around? We had really no idea where they all came from.
Yeah. Man, just really in awe, I mean, I think back to from where our church started, with just really a handful of people starting to join a core team, and then more joining, and then our first replant, and then our second replant, and then this third one, and seeing all the steps and God bringing it to there, knowing that even when we launched over a decade ago, that God had this in mind.
Yeah.
And God had those people who would attend on that day in mind. To me, it was just a really cool thing to think about. That was one of the conversations we had around the lunch table when we left, was where it was in the past, where it is now, and how we could see God's sovereign hand all the way, which gets me even more excited for, man, like, what's it going to look like a decade from now? I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
For me, man, seeing those, I don't know if you look at our Sunday morning attendance, seeing those hundreds of extra people there, in this new location, we honestly, like you said, we had no idea what Easter was going to look like, how many people would come from the communities that we were in over here, or how many people would come from this community. But, what I think of is like, oh, okay, we have hundreds of people who will come to this place from the surrounding community. And, Jesus said it, like, the fields are white with harvest. What we need is the laborers.
That's right.
And so it makes me excited for, I don't know how you guys feel. We've talked about this a little bit, Tyler, but we're in a prime time to establish our identity as one church instead of, essentially 3 different churches.
Right.
And it makes me think like, hey, man, we have the workers, but can we go out? And just seeing the potential there, that where God has put us, like, you've got several hundred people worth of potential.
Yeah.
And that's exciting to me.
Yeah. Well, and we're seeing some of that fruit, because since we launched here in March, almost every single week we have had at least one salvation conversation. Some weeks multiple. And that has led to the 22 some baptisms that we've had, where I think there's only been 2 weeks since we launched that we haven't had a baptism, which is incredible. I mean, because it's evident that God is doing something here, that there is a hunger, the harvest is ready, and it's such a blessing to be in a spot where we get to be a part of seeing the harvest, of seeing God's movement in those ways. Knight, why don't you share a little bit about the student ministry, your student ministry experience over the last couple months, because there's been some cool stuff going on there.
Yeah. Before you do that, you keep the camera on you. Matt Knight has come on full time.
Yeah.
Woo!
Let's go.
So,
and he's killing it, man.
It's been great.
Just an honor to you for being the kind of person that this church and leadership wants to bring on full time. And we can't say enough great things about you, especially on air. So man, what's something that you guys see in Matt Knight?
Y'all are making me blush.
Matt truly loves people, and he loves the gospel. And he's somebody who was saved through this church, called to ministry, baptized, discipled, grown in ministry, and man, his willingness to learn, his hunger to learn, to always be better, and to make those around him better. Like he really is like the ultimate team player. And he's a joy to have on staff, and I know we all love that he's finally full time with us, which is awesome.
Yeah, I love Matt. I've loved watching your willingness to step in and do what needs to be done. Above and beyond the actual job description that you had, and your work ethic to grind it out and work multiple jobs because you felt like the ministry was worth it. I think is admirable, is something that we need. We need that type of mentality, and your willingness to see a need and step up and meet it and fill it, I think has been a huge blessing to see.
I'd say, man, creativity, problem solving, two major characteristics of yours that I see and love and admire. Best for ministry, the characteristic I would say is you make people feel seen, and loved. So, man, great job.
Man, I should have came on full time sooner. Get hyped up. Dang. No, thank you. I appreciate that. You guys are the best.
So coming back to Tyler's question, what have you seen in student ministry in this time?
Yeah, I think it's been really cool to see the relationships that form, because I think that was the hardest part. You know, we would gather on Wednesdays, but Wednesdays are, you know, you're coming after school, you're tired, you're exhausted. It's kind of a grind. But I feel like getting to see those relationships form on a deeper level on Sundays has been really cool. And then from that, I know that there's been a lot of conversations had about baptism with certain students. Baptized a student this past Sunday who is normally really shy, who kind of came out of nowhere that I wasn't expecting. And so just getting to see those things. And then, I mean, having a gym space has been huge. Just getting to, you know, the old location, it was so loud. You couldn't have conversation. You couldn't really form those relationships. But now, especially that we have the space, and more space to kind of have more creative, fun things to do, like playing dodgeball, which isn't that creative, but they love it. I think I called jailbreak like 10 times one night, and they just didn't want to stop playing. But that's been the coolest part is seeing all of them be able to connect. And then I think we've had maybe, you know, a new face almost every week, every other week, same as here, and that's been really cool.
That's really good.
Love it.
I think, man, with the mingling of campuses, both in groups and on volunteer teams, there's been I feel like there's been a good mix, a healthy mix.
Yeah.
We didn't know what to expect with that, because it's even, you know, church is weird. Like organizationally speaking, you have people who are super consistent in, if you call the church an organization, you know, a family, you've got people who are very consistent.
Yeah.
But then you've got people who are, you know, they get involved in this or that here or there, some who are mostly consistent. There's a wide range.
Yeah.
So you really, as far as like how many people are going to plug into what event or service or team, like you have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of question marks, right?
Yeah.
But I've seen people creating new relationships.
Yeah.
You know, open door to legends to Bonner. You know, kids volunteers have stepped up like huge champs.
Yeah.
You know, in you know, way that we've needed a lot of volunteers, and we've needed a lot out of our volunteers, and there's been a lot of change. And seeing how they've handled that has been really great to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a kind of core team that's been heading up the kids ministry over the last couple months that they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Lindsay, Nicole, Megan, Haley, all stepping up. Did I miss anyone? That's kind of the core team. Stepping up and doing a lot of work. They're here a lot during the week, working to make sure that our kids ministry is set up for success, that our kids ministry volunteers are set up for success. And so it's just always like we keep saying, it's so great to see the church be the church.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we've talked about this, you know, all the growth and all of the, but like, how do we steward this well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I want to spend some time with us discussing is I think one of the dangers of a season like we're in right now, where we have this growth, is allowing the growth to kind of lull us into a sense of complacency.
Yeah.
And when that happens, churches lose connection.
Yeah.
And when I think back on Fellowship West and the strengths that our church has always had, one of the strengths that I feel like we've always had has been relational. Has been that we are a very relational church. Our church loves doing things together, and we've always had a quote unquote small church feel, so to speak. Partially because we've been in small buildings.
Well, yeah, you can't fit more than 120 people in a room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're in this space where we can grow to a much larger space, or much larger number, which is great. But how do we intentionally make sure that we don't lose that aspect, that kind of core DNA of our church, which has been the relational side of it.
I think it all does go back to relationships. And I think it starts with our staff and leadership teams, keeping the view that like, it's not about the numbers. It's about the individuals the numbers represent. Like each number is an individual soul, a life, a person created in the image of God whom he loves, that he has a purpose for their lives. And I think keeping that focus on it, and then leveraging opportunities for us to build relationships with people.
Right.
But then also encouraging our people to be engaging in relationships as well. I think that's why the serving piece and the small group piece are so important.
Absolutely.
Those are the aspects that keep the larger church small, because we are growing and praise God we're growing. We know that I shared the stat on Grand Opening Sunday, within a 20-mile radius of this building, there's an estimated 880,000 lost people who desperately need Jesus. So I pray we grow and reach people, but I pray that people come and they do get connected to the body.
Sure.
So, it's easy, I've grown up, I've been in small churches, I've been in big churches. And I think if you've been in a large church, you know this, or you feel it at least. It's, whether you want to or not, very easy to get lost.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be anonymous, very easy to fly,
to hide
under the radar, to hide, to just, be somebody who walks in, isn't
That's what
really
I did
seen.
most of my life growing up.
Yeah. So, I mean, Tyler, your focus here is discipleship. Walk us through that pitfall and how why we should be avoiding it as a church body, and how.
Yeah, I've said ever since we moved in here that I feel like my job as discipleship pastor got exponentially more important.
Yeah, I agree
with where we're at now. And so I mean, one of the key ways that we keep that small church feel, that we keep that connection, that we keep people from becoming anonymous and hiding in the crowd, is by our congregation as a whole coming around, like you were saying, Matt, and by making sure that people are plugging into to smaller settings, plugging into small groups, plugging into to serve teams, all of these areas where the large crowd is made small, where the individuals can feel seen, and I think you kind of hinted at this, like reminding people that it's not just our job as the pastoral team to make sure that people are seen.
Yeah.
Obviously, we do our best to make sure that people are seen and to see people and acknowledge people.
And we do want to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been one of the, we didn't talk about this, but it's been one of the best things about the move and being all in one building is that it allows us to walk slowly among the flock.
We're actually here.
We're actually here.
Yeah.
We're actually here, but listen, it's not easy to find everyone.
No, that's very true.
You want to find. I find that I miss people a lot. I've had
depending upon what entrance they come in and out, on what side of the building,
what service, everything.
It's hard for sure.
Yeah. So, but reminding people that like we will do our best to make sure that people are seen and known, but it's not just up to us. It's up to each person that is a member of Fellowship West to make sure that you are being the hands and feet of Christ, that you are being a part of the body of Christ, and making sure that anybody who walks through the doors of this building is seen and known, and that they're invited to come and be a part of what is going on here.
I think you said it previously when we were launching. It's the idea of like leading our people to find their people and find their place.
Yeah.
I like to be intentional to do that and to plug in.
Yeah, we ran an event that we called the Plug-in Fest on our grand opening Sunday, and the tagline that I used for that was, find your people, find your place, because we want you to find your people, find your small group, your community, that smaller room where you can feel seen and known, and we want you to find your place where you can serve, where you can invest in the ministry that's going on here at Fellowship West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you said, Tyler, it's the job of the flock to bring the flock into community.
Yeah.
Matt Knight, what do you do when there's a brand new student who you don't know show up on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night?
Like, what do I do personally?
What's your protocol for that?
protocol, get to know their name, what school they go to, favorite hobby. That's what I tell all my leaders. If you ever see a new face, like those are the 3 easy things to ask, and then connect them with another student in their same grade or something similar that they like, or maybe it's the same school. I think finding those connection points is a really big piece to that.
And I've seen that, which is why I asked the question. What you do is, besides like making a connection yourself, you pair them with someone, right? You pair them with someone so that, you know, at the end of it all, they're not alone. Someone knows them.
Right.
And so I think, you know, that's the charge for any believer who sees someone who is, you know, sneaking in, whether they want to be sneaking in or not. Like some of us want to go to a church and we just want to walk in and no one talk to us.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that can be behind that. You know, whether you've had, you know, trauma in a church or a family setting, or, you know, maybe you're talk to a lot of folks about like, hey, we just moved to the area. Church shopping is hard. We don't really want to be noticed.
Yeah.
You know, we want to figure out what kind of church this is before we actually commit and start meeting people. But no matter what your story is or your background for that, we want everyone that walks into this place to feel a connection.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because that's the body of Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's our job, not staff, but Christians. It's our job to seek those people out.
Yeah. And our first impressions team has gotten significantly more important.
Yeah.
You're doing more than just holding a door or making coffee. And I was actually having a conversation with Jose yesterday, and he was telling me how much he has enjoyed serving in the first impressions team, making coffee, because he's making coffee and bringing it out there, but then he's able to sit down and have conversations with people that are waiting to go into service in the foyer. And he said that he's had some really good intentional conversations with people in that setting. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. That's a huge win.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing people. And like that's monumentally more important as we continue to grow, because it's those things that allow those connections to maintain. And then obviously, as a discipleship pastor, I have to say, like, groups are more important now than they've probably ever been.
You can make a bunch of like superficial or even even like genuine conversations and connections on a Sunday morning. But until you start practicing life with people, studying scripture with people, you're not growing as a believer, at least not as fast and well as you should be.
Right.
So take us into, more of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the small group setting where you're forced to engage on a deeper level. You're not just sitting and consuming. You're forced to, in a good group, which I think all of our groups are, you should be pushed out of your comfort zone a little bit, asked to participate in the discussion, praying with and for each other, sharing prayer requests, praying for other people's prayer requests. That's where real like discipleship happens. The follow me as I follow Christ. Like that happens honestly, not in a large group Sunday morning setting. That happens in the smaller settings. That happens in the living rooms, around tables, in the classrooms. That's where accountability is had, where you're able to be seen, to be known, to be called out when you need to be called out. It's through those small group relationships. That's where friendships are formed. That's where you're able to my tagline, find your people, right? That's where you're able to really find your community and do life with each other. That's where you lean on for support whenever you are walking through a trial, whenever you have a medical need, you have a baby, you have a surgery. It's our fellowship groups where step up and meet those needs primarily. They receive that care. They take care of each other. They serve together. I know a lot of our groups that I mean, I encourage all of our groups to find ways to serve together in like big settings, but a lot of our groups also serve together on Sunday mornings in various ways, which is really cool. And most of all, like it's in those small group settings where you're really known, where you become more than just a anonymous face in a crowd, but where you become an individual and you are known, you are seen, you are missed.
Yeah.
And I think that like that it's those reasons why it's so important that people are engaged in community. And it's one of the reasons I'm really thankful for this facility, because it gives us the ability to have a multitude of groups available on Sunday mornings that make it so much easier for people to plug in, because we're not asking new people, hey, go to this person you never met's living room.
Yeah.
We're saying, hey, go to this classroom down the hall and you can begin finding your people.
Here's an interesting fact. Scholars have estimated that 43%, around 43% of Jesus's teaching recorded in the Gospels was around a meal or a table. 43%, almost half.
Yeah.
Around a meal or a table. So like, you tell me how important sitting around food is to the Lord and to the church.
Yeah. When I think about that, like, I mean, I'm brought back to my testimony that I shared in the episode last year. But a large portion of the beginnings of my walk with Christ that led me to really plugging in and getting saved and getting called to ministry really honestly centered around being invited to places where there was food and and being invited to small group settings and things like that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's immensely important.
Well, yeah, like, it's like when you're eating a good meal, it's like walls come down.
Sure.
You're enjoying the food, you're enjoying the conversation, walls come down, and relationships are kind of formed.
Yeah. I think there's all sort of like theological questions there. Like I talk with my kids all the time, like, God made food to be good, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't he make it, just bland or nothing? Could it be that because he wants us to, those walls to come down, like you're saying, he wants us to be around the table. He wants us to grow. He wants us to enjoy together. I think about the fact that, look at the Old Testament, there are feasts that are the people are called to all throughout the year. You've got like 7 main feasts. I think we have this culture of such like individualism, and we're formed away from the table, away from the table to work and success and sports and individual accolades and phones and social media, instead of being formed around the table. And look what's happened to society, partly due to technology, is like people are lonelier than ever. And so we need the table now more than ever.
Justin Whitmell Earley has a book called Made for People that is fantastic. Talks about this exact concept and how we were made for community. We were not made to be individuals. We were made to be a body. We need each other. We need to be seen and known.
And that's kind of what you see as the response there in Acts. Pentecost happens, 3,000 souls are saved. You then get to Acts 2:42 through 47, and it's people doing life together. They're praying together, they're serving together, they're sacrificing, eating meals,
taking care of each other.
All of the things. It's like, once they're saved, it's like they are immediately moved into this gospel-centered biblical community of believers who are just relationally spurring each other on. And if that's what they needed, then that's what we need as well.
Well, the language of the New Testament epistles, sets the church up as a family, a new people group. Right. So instead of being a Jew, an American, or whatever, like, you are a new tribe.
That's
essentially. Right. And so there are all sorts of implications to that. But really, honestly, we'll get more into that with this next series.
And this whole concept, that's why this podcast is called The Table, because like we say in the intro, like, we believe that some of the most meaningful spiritual moments happen in conversations, not just in big crowds. Real quick, like, for many of you guys, what are some of the like table moments, so to speak, from your own life that you feel like have shaped your faith?
I think for me, it started with getting plugged in, getting to know some people here, making friendships, and then you'd get together in groups, and then the relationships would form deeper there. And then quickly that became just, instead of hanging out as a group, maybe you're hanging out with an individual from that group or a couple where, deeper conversations are able to happen.
You were saved at a table at a coffee shop.
I was, third space.
Tables.
the table. That's where the inspiration came
that moment.
Yep.
Yeah. That's where it all started.
No, I feel like there's been a lot of moments that have kind of helped shape me and really even who I am as a pastor, largely at coffee shops where we can just sit down, talk, grab a drink, maybe some biscuits and gravy at their space or whatever it is, and just have these conversations and moments in prayer. And I think a lot of those have been so really just impactful because there are these moments where it's like you just slow down, you enjoy the moment, you engage in the conversation, just the phones stay away, distractions are kind of gone. And, I think they've been foundational in my ministry. And I think they're still foundational even just in my growth now.
Yeah. That makes me think of one of you and I's, it might have been you and I's first ever like real conversation where we went to Black Dog.
Yeah.
And this legit might have been our first real conversation.
I think it was.
And we sat and we talked for couple hours,
yeah,
just talking about ministry and theology and that's where like our friendship really began to form and thankfully like that's where God began opening doors for us to be able to do ministry together.
I know,
It's been really cool.
It's been wild.
Tyler, true or false, you actually wanted to name this podcast many months ago The Coffee Pot.
The Coffee Pot, yeah. I find ways to include coffee in anything that I can, including one of the taglines for this podcast.
Man, if you're asking about table moments, there have been, several key relationships that stick out to me, and they go different depths. But what I have seen is typically, you have some sort of attempt made in church to get together in a group setting, whether that's volunteering on a team or attending a class. And there have been several pretty key relationships formed over the years in my life that like the only way that could continue, the only way it did continue was getting food together, was going over to someone's house, from them coming to yours. And, when you put yourself in a position of vulnerability and growth with other people in a classroom setting, it's like Matt Knight, you said, like many times that's going to naturally, and the hope is that it will eventually lead to, those relationships with key people in that class.
Right.
And I'll tell you what's another huge blessing for me is my kids and the need for a babysitter.
Sure.
Because we have grown close to so many people over the years, young and old, because they were willing to watch our kids and love on our kids, and those relationships formed. And some have moved away and some are still here. And, but as you open your family up, you will be blessed.
Yeah.
As you open yourself up, you will be blessed. And that's my encouragement to those in our church moving forward is, as a Christian, man, we're called to open ourselves up, and it's because we need it, and it's because they need it.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think about table moments, a really special season that comes to mind for me was a couple years ago when we were doing church-wide corporate fasting and prayer on Tuesdays. And at the time, our fellowship group was meeting in our house on Tuesday nights. And so our whole group for the most part did this, and we would fast during the day, and then we would come together for Bible study that night and break fast together. And it was really cool. And like Matt, you were a part of that group, and it was during that season. That group was fairly new at that point, and it was in that season that like we really grew close with a lot of people in that group, and a big part of it centered around the fact that on a weekly basis we were gathering together, we were praying together, we were breaking fast together, and we were having these really cool spiritual growth moments together.
I also, I even think back to the ease of gospel conversations in those moments.
Oh yeah.
Other than my office, I think Slaps Barbecue is where I've led more people to Christ than any other single location in Kansas City. There's something about taking people to get some burnt-end tacos on a Tuesday, and it's like the spirit moves. And in fact, the last 3 times I've gone to Slaps Barbecue on a Tuesday has been to have gospel conversations. And those last 3, people did give their lives to Christ, and I think part of, yet again, was just the atmosphere. It was the food. It was the enjoyment, the other parts of conversation that happen otherwise. And, but yeah, I think these are just such incredible moments to invest in.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about connection and engagement, and how we can steward this season of growth well. So if someone has been attending but hasn't really plugged in yet, what would you encourage them to do first?
To put themselves in a position to be known, to not just kind of come and go and slip away, but have conversations about joining, find a place to serve, find a small group. These locations where relationships can be built.
Yeah.
2 practical steps for me. I think number 1, don't sit alone.
Yeah.
So if you're coming on Sunday morning, what I think we're all drawn to do is like find your own little section of the pew where nobody is yet.
Yeah.
And sit there. Hopefully it's close to the aisle. But no, go say, hey, can I sit with you? Find somebody of same age and stage, whatever, like sit with them, get to know them.
Yeah.
If you want to plug in, you need to do that.
That's right.
Second thing is go to a group.
Yeah.
You need to go to a group, and that can happen one of 2 ways. Either you can just on Sunday morning walk into a room.
Yeah.
You can ask the people at the welcome desk, volunteers who are serving there every Sunday morning, both hours. They will tell you what classrooms are going on, and they'll even take you to where you need to go. So whatever fits your, like I said, your age or life stage there. Or you're the person, Tyler, that they could get in touch with. There are these green cards that are on the info wall in the foyer. They take you to fellowshipwest.com/group life.
Yep.
Or you can just go there on your device and just fill out a form. And what that form is it says, my name is so-and-so, I want to get connected. And that's going to send it to Tyler. And now all the pressure is on Tyler.
That's right.
And so Tyler's going to help to get you plugged in. And that, to me, that's the easy way to do it. If you're a little more on the reserve side.
Yeah.
But you have to take those action steps if you want to get plugged in. There's no passive way to do it.
No.
Yeah. Plus, I would love for you to just come and stop me on a Sunday morning and ask me where you can plug in, and we can talk about what you're looking for in a group and what kind of community you need, and I guarantee you we can find a group where you can truly find your people.
Yeah, that's good.
For those in our congregation who have been plugged in, what would be your encouragement for them as we continue through this new season of our church life?
Yeah, my encouragement is, like I said earlier, we're 3 unique church bodies coming together.
Yeah.
And as much as there's, we've seen the joining in great ways, there's still what I perceive at least, there's still kind of an overarching gap in like, who are we?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
There's almost some like tribalism in some ways.
Yeah, definitely. Well, people are close to who they're close to.
Yeah.
Sure. And that stuff I'm not worried about. Like I think, I don't know how y'all feel about it. I think everybody has the ability to spread out.
Yeah.
And like you said, tribalism, like, putting it in those terms sounds bad, but we do want to make the room small.
Yeah,
so we do want people to be in their own little tribes. We want people, as long as people are connected, like I'm happy.
Yeah.
Connected and taking their next steps with Christ. But what I want people to do is catch the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And if you've been coming to West for a while, or even if you've heard this, a dozen times so far, that our mission is to share Jesus, disciple believers, and love people, it can get rote. It can get old. And, I want people we say it because we want to keep it in front of people.
Yeah, that's right.
We want people to live on mission. When we say that on Sunday mornings, hey, remember you're on mission this week. We mean it. It's not something that we think just sounds good and we'll get like butts in the seats. Like we want people to go out and live on mission. So that's what I would tell somebody who's already involved. part of your mission, and we're going to get into this with this next series, part of your mission is that you are plugged into a group and you are serving on Sunday morning. But it goes so much further than that as a follower of Christ.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, and I want people to understand and to see that, being part of a group or connected or these things is not just about like what they get. Because sometimes you'll hear from people, I don't feel like I need that. Well, and
it's
not just about what you need, joining, it's about like, man, what you have to give. Like God has gifted you.
Yeah.
And I believe that if God has called you here, that He's called you here because you have something to invest in others.
Sure.
You have an experience, you have a loss that you've had, you have some growth, that there's something that you have that can make an impact on somebody else to grow their faith, maybe to become a first-time follower, to help grow a new believer, to lift somebody up who's down, to encourage that parent who's struggling with that toddler or whatever it is. And so, and that would be my big encouragement to those who are already here and kind of plugged in, is to realize that like plugging in deeper, man, it's less about what we get out of it. Like you see, the consumer culture kills churches.
Yeah.
But it's been like what do we have to offer that God has put within us to flow out of us, to grow people around us in their faith, to encourage them, because we hear the stories of people in our church. Like we have people in our church who are experiencing loss. We have somebody who's experienced deep loss of a sibling this week. We have people who've experienced loss of a parent in the past month. Those who experience these other deep things, that to have people around them in the church love on them, pray for them, encourage them, invest in them. Man, that's being the body.
Sure.
And if you're a part of this church, like I believe with every fiber of my being that God has brought you here for a purpose that's beyond you. It's beyond me. It's beyond Fellowship West. Like it's really about the kingdom and about the kind of the global church of what God's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that actually caveats really well into where we're going next with this podcast, beginning next week. Ben, why don't you tease out a little bit what's coming up over the next few weeks?
For the next 4 weeks, we'll be doing a series called A Given People. And that's fleshing out the ministry and calling of every believer. So we'll look at, how we're called, why we're called, and what we're called to as ministers of the gospel, as disciples of Christ.
Yeah, it's going to be a bunch of really cool conversations. So make sure that you tune in for that. Okay, last question, guys. What are you most hopeful for in the next season for our church?
I'm hopeful that we never become complacent. Like we've seen God do incredible things, and I think in a lot of ways exceed our expectations. But we look at the lostness around us, we see the hurt around us, and I don't ever want us to become complacent with where we are, with what we have, but to realize that God has placed us here at this point in time to build His church, to build the kingdom of God, to reach people, and so like I'm really hopeful for the days ahead. Like I think the days and decades of ministry that God has before us are going to be exciting, and I think we just got to be willing to prayerfully put in the work and to do things with great passion. But I think that's kind of my big hope.
Yeah. Knight, what about you, man?
Oh man, I gotta think.
Knight's doing more work than all of us back there because he's pushing lots of buttons.
Yeah, I think I'm hopeful for kind of just, at 2 campuses and the size of those places, it felt often restricted on what we could do.
Yeah.
And now it definitely feels like that restriction has been completely lifted. Like the potential and things that we can do feels unlimited from what we can do inside. Like with students on July 1st, we're going to do laser tag around the whole building, which will be awesome. Or, even outside with the size of the property we have.
Yeah.
And so it's just dreaming about those things that can be done that we couldn't do before.
Yeah. No surprise here. A big part of like my hope for the future is based on worship and the culture of our church. Like I just keep going back to identity, and I want our church more and more to be thirsty for the Lord's presence.
Yeah.
to be made more and more into worshipers who are uninhibited. And we're going to do our best on the pastoral side, on the equipping side, to help people like, hey, this is what it means to seek the Lord in this way. And so that, and I want people, I want our church to be people who are hungry for God's will, within the church body and within the community.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I'm hopeful that people will continue to, as we've been talking about, to be connected, to grow in community, to see others, to meet needs, and as we continue to press forward, just looking forward to continuing to see God's hand at work in our church body through us, and we're just so incredibly grateful for what God has done in this season, for the fact that He has allowed us to be a part of what He's doing, of the small revival that we're seeing happen. And but more than numbers, we're praying for real discipleship, for real community, for real life change. And that's why conversations matter. That's why tables matter. And that's why we're excited to be back. So welcome back to The Table. Thank you for joining us today at The Table. We hope this conversation has been meaningful to you and that you feel encouraged in your journey of faith. If you'd like to stay connected, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And be sure to join us in person. For more information about our Sunday service times, head to our website, fellowshipwest.com. If something from today's conversation resonates with you, share it with a friend or leave a comment or review, because everyone has a seat at the table. Until next time, remember, you are loved and there's always a place for you here. Take care, and we'll see you again soon.